A very good day to all our partners who's attending this particular session. We hope you're all safe, keeping healthy. Please stay that way and just pray that this COVID situation ends as soon as possible. My name is Prince Rosario, and I'm a product specialist from the ManageEngine division, here to present you with one of the new features that's going to get released in the ServiceDesk product, ServiceDesk Plus product release soon. So this feature that I'm talking about is the new desktop central agent that is going to be bundled inside the ServiceDesk Plus product. I'm sure this is a feature that we've talked about. I'm sure it's something that you've read on the forums, and that's something that our support technicians have emailed. So this is something that's finally coming to light now that the development work, testing work, everything is done. We're going to bring it out to our customers, and before we do that, we wanted to educate you as partners about how this feature actually works, what are the licensing changes that's happened to the product right now, and what are the design level changes that is incorporated into the product now. So we'll break down this session into small pieces when we'll talk about the different things that's happening. And since this is a new feature, I'm definitely sure you'll be coming up with lots of questions. So please sit through the entire session, and I've tried my best to answer all these questions that you might come up with during the course of the session. So without any further ado, let's jump in. I hope everybody can see my screen now. So this feature, it actually works in 3 different scenarios. So we'll talk about each of these scenarios, the licensing changes that's involved in these scenarios, and then we'll move on to the design. So the first scenario is quite simple one. A new customer who is purchasing ServiceDesk Plus. What will be the design for him? An existing customer of ServiceDesk Plus, when they do an upgrade to make use of this feature, how the product works for them. And the third scenario is an existing customer who's doing an upgrade to get this feature, and this customer is a purchased customer of Desktop Central. He already owns a license for the Desktop Central product. How does this feature work for him? These are the major 3 scenarios that we need to understand in order to be able to assist our customers. So in order for this agent, the Desktop Central agent, to be bundled inside ServiceDesk Plus, we need to make use of the Desktop Central product as well, meaning the Desktop Central application is now going to be installed on the same server as the ServiceDesk Plus application in order for us to be enabled, in order for us to be able to give you this particular feature. So moving forward, let's take a look at a couple of the user interface changes that's actually happening. So we'll talk about the first scenario, a new customer who is going to purchase ServiceDesk Plus. So they've bought the license, they've installed the product. As soon as they install it and they try to make use of any of the asset management functionalities, let's say they try to do a Windows domain scan or they try to do a network scan, the application gives them something of this particular sort, saying that they need to install the Desktop Central application in order to be able to make use of the scanning functionalities. So I'll show you the user interfaces that the new customer will see. So as soon as the application is installed, and when they go to agent configuration settings, this is what they will see. They'll get a prompt saying the download and installation needs to happen. The design happens in such a way that there's automation, a lot of automation happening in the backend. So when I click on this download and install, the application, it automatically tries to download the application from our website and it installs it on the ServiceDesk Plus server automatically. Once the installation is done, the application automatically integrates itself with Desktop Central. So the download, installation, and integration, this whole process happens without manual intervention. So there's an automatic process that's happening in the backend that enables this particular feature. And in order for the download to happen, we just need to ensure that the ServiceDesk Plus server has internet connection. If not, you could do it via a proxy If that still is not an option, let's say banking customers, they don't have internet access on the server, you just have to download the exe and you can do it manually. And to help the customers navigate through this entire process, here's the different prompts the application gives them. So as you can see, it's giving a prompt asking them to download and integrate. And in case there is no internet access on the server, this is what they will get to configure their proxy. And for those of you who already worked with Desktop Central, I'm sure you must be knowing that Desktop Central does not have a Linux-based installation. They can only install their product on a Windows machine. So if you come across a customer who has ServiceDesk Plus installed on a Linux machine, they would not be able to make use of this automatic installation. Because when the automatic installation happens, it downloads the application on the same server and it tries to install it on the same server. So this will not work. In that situation, the customer can just download the exe file and then they will have to manually install the Desktop Central application on a Windows machine, and then they can integrate it. As usual, since we have another product installed on the server, there are some prerequisites or system requirements in order for this functionality to work. All this information will definitely be out there on the admin guide and the FAQs once the feature is released. So as of now, just so that you can know, we just need 1 GB of free space on the ServiceDesk Plus server. And there are certain port requirements. 8020 and 8383 is 2 of the ports that's needed for this particular feature. Let's say everything is good, server connectivity is there, the download has started. Once the download completes, the application automatically tries to install the application in the backend. And once everything is successful, this is what you can expect to see. So the download is completed, the installation is completed, and the integration part is also completed. And the situation or the event where failure happens, you can see all these different pop-ups. And once the whole process is completed, you can see a banner that says the whole process is completed. So once this process is completed, you can start setting up the agents. So the difference that we see over here now is, previously, the ServiceDesk Plus agent that we had in the application was only available for the Windows machines. There was no agents available for Linux or Mac machines. Moving forward, that concept changes. So ServiceDesk Plus now has agents for Windows, Mac, and your Linux machines. So there's no more network-based scan, there's no more script scanning, there's no WMI scanning, all that is gone. The application is now a purely agent-based scanning interface. So you can download the different agent that you want based on the operating system that you want to deploy it on. Say if it's a Windows machine, get the Windows agent. Linux, you can get that, and then you can deploy that onto the different machines. So let's go through each of these scenarios one by one. So a new customer who is purchasing the product, what are the scenarios or what are the different challenges or what are the different questions that you might encounter? First thing that customer may ask is, what do you get out of this feature? Once the integration part is done, you get 2 main features. The asset inventory. When Desktop Central scans the machine, it posts the data to the ServiceDesk Plus application. So you'll get complete details about the asset, hardware, software, the user accounts, everything will be in there. The second thing, this is something new to the application, is the warranty. The application is now capable of fetching the warranty information from 3 manufacturers. We can get the information from Dell, Toshiba, and Lenovo. Right now, if I'm not mistaken, HP is having some issues with their APIs, so we are not able to fetch the HP warranty information. Apart from that, we can get the warranty information from these 3 machines. So when you pitch in the product, you can definitely position ServiceDesk not just as a ticketing tool or an asset management tool. It now also stands out as a warranty information system. So these are the two features that you get for a new customer who is purchasing this particular product. So even in this particular scenario, a new customer, there are two different cases that you might encounter. This customer might be an existing customer of Desktop Center, or this customer is a new customer to ManageEngine. He has no ManageEngine products in his environment. So let's take up the first scenario. New customer without Desktop Central. What happens? So as I mentioned, once the customer installs the product, they will have to download Desktop Central, install it, and do the integration part. That happens automatically. And they can get these two features, fetching of warranty, and they can get the asset details that's provided by the Desktop Central agent. What if the customer already has Desktop Central installed in his environment? What then? So since the product is already installed, they don't have to install Desktop Central separately. All they have to do is just integrate it with the existing installation of Desktop Central. Once the integration is done, you'll get again the same two features, inventory and warranty fetching. There's a small scenario that you have to understand over here, something that we have commonly seen. An existing customer of Desktop Central, let's say he has purchased 500 node licenses for Desktop Central or 500 machines for Desktop Central. The same customer might purchase 1000 technician license for ServiceDesk Plus. In this case, in ServiceDesk Plus, when you scan these 1000 devices, you will get the inventory information and you will get the warranty information. And for the 500 machines that you have inside Desktop Central, as you know, it's not just asset inventory, it's complete endpoint management. It can do patch management, software deployment, whole lot of other things. These particular Desktop Central related functionalities will only work for those 500 machines that they've purchased in Desktop Central. Hope this information is clear. Moving on to the next scenario. Again, a fresh customer, a new customer for ServiceDesk Plus. It's buying the product. But what if this customer already has the system tools add-on? How does the scenario change in this case? So for this customer, once they install the application, they will get, again, the same information we talked about, inventory and fetching of warranty. This comes by default from ServiceDesk. But since this customer already has system tools, they get two additional features, which is remote control and the tools option that's offered by system tools. There's a lot of different functions such as wake on LAN, remote shutdown. You can do hibernate and different whole list of options that system tools offers. That feature is now available inside ServiceDesk Plus. So let's talk about another scenario over here. So this new customer who's buying the product, who has system tools add-on, if they already have Desktop Central installed or Desktop Central purchased and installed in their environment, what happens? It's close to the exact same scenario that we discussed previously. They buy 1000 licenses for ServiceDesk and they have 500 licenses for Desktop Central. So these 1000 machines, they will have they will have the option to do all these functionalities, these 1000 machines in ServiceDesk Plus. As far as the 500 machines that is purchased in Desktop Central, those 500 machines will have complete capabilities that Desktop Central offers, like patch management, software deployment, OS deployment, and things like that, whatever they've purchased the license for. So these are the two different scenarios that you might come across for a fresh customer, for a new customer. So just to recap, a new customer coming to you who doesn't have any of the ManageEngine products, or a new customer who comes to you who already has the Desktop Central product purchased and installed in his environment. So what I'll do is, once I complete this presentation, I'll share this presentation with you so you can take a look at this particular sheet in case you need a little bit more clarity, or you can use this as a reference material. And the second scenario was the fresh installation of a new customer who has the System Tools add-on. And for those of you who've not yet worked with System Tools, these are the list of features that the Desktop Central Tools gives you. You can do Wake on LAN, remote shutdown, chat, announcement, and System Manager. And here is the different options that you can see from System Manager. You can pretty much do remote management of the system right from inside the ServiceDesk Plus console. So that's about a new customer scenario. What about the second scenarios that we talked about? So we talked about 3 different scenarios over here: new customer, and an existing customer who's upgrading, an existing customer who already has Desktop Central. So we'll talk about the second scenario now. So the customer is doing an upgrade to make use of this particular product. So what happens after they do the upgrade? Let's go back to that UI page. So as you can see, as soon as they upgrade the application and then they log in, this is the message they can expect to see. They will give information about the new agent that's been launched. And they'll get a prompt saying that they need to move to the Desktop Central agent, and the application, it actually gives them a count. Yeah, so this is what they can expect to see. So once the installation is completed, like I previously mentioned, they will get this option to download and deploy the agents to different machines in their environment. So talking about features, what are the features that an existing customer gets? Inventory, obviously, because the DC agent scans the data and it posts the data to the ServiceDesk Plus application. We get the warranty information. In addition to this, since it's an existing customer we're talking about, we're giving another additional feature: remote control through the Desktop Central agent. This is a feature that is purely offered only for customers who are doing the upgrade and not for new customers. When the customer is upgrading, they can now start taking remote control of machines using the Desktop Central agent. So an existing customer who doesn't have the Desktop Central integration, all they have to do is, when they log into the application after the upgrade, they will get the prompt: download, install, integrate the Desktop Central application, which happens automatically. Once it's done, they just have to deploy the new Desktop Central agent to all the machines in their environment, and then they can make use of these 3 functionalities. So this is for customers who don't have the Desktop Central integration, people who are doing the upgrade without the DC already installed in their environment. So what about customers who do the upgrade but already have Desktop Central installed in their environment? In that scenario, again, when the customer does the upgrade, they will get this prompt saying Desktop Central agent is now available. And the application, since Desktop Central is already installed and integrated to ServiceDesk Plus right now, the application will automatically perform a compatibility check. It will check if that version of Desktop Central that is installed in their environment is compatible with this version of ServiceDesk Plus. If not, this is what you can expect to see. And then the customer can download the Desktop Central patch get Desktop Center upgraded, and then deploy the agents from the application. And we are also giving an information message saying how many machines already have the agents deployed, how many machines are scanned using Linux and Mac, so that they will get an actual count of how many machines the deployment needs to happen on. So these are the three different scenarios that you need to understand very clearly in order to be able to talk to customers, help them with their requirements. So new customers who are doing an upgrade of ServiceDesk Plus to make use of this feature, customers who are doing upgrade with Desktop Central already integrated to ServiceDesk Plus. Three different scenarios. And another key point that you have to keep in mind is for customers who do the upgrade, they get the remote control feature. And for new customers, there's no remote control. So different questions that came to my mind was, so you might think of, is there no remote control option for new customers? The option is the customer can either purchase the system tools add-on. You can promote that to the customers if they want to make use of advanced remote control, because the remote control option that is offered from the system tools has more capabilities compared to the remote control option available in ServiceDesk. For example, you can do chat, you can do file transfers, you can get access to the administrative tools on that particular machine, like view the control panel, different options you can do. So that's more powerful than compared to the ServiceDesk Plus remote feature. And in case the customer is not willing to purchase the system tools add-on, then the next available option for them is to use the web remote option that is already available in the ServiceDesk Plus application. This is for the new customers. For people who are doing the upgrade, you don't have to worry. The remote control feature is already available for them. So hope that clears certain information about how this particular feature is going to be available and how it actually works. Now, let's talk about the agent deployment. As soon as I brought up this particular topic, people who already worked in Desktop Central might think of this particular option. In Desktop Central, there is an option to automatically deploy the agents right from within the Desktop Central console. For the first phase, since this feature is just coming out right now, we are not bringing that feature into the application. So if you want to deploy the agent, it would have to be through a GPO. Similar to the process that you've been following so far. So for Windows, there's different options as usual. You can do a GPO lightweight tool deployment. You can do a workgroup machine deployment, OS imaging, or manual. Same thing for Linux and same thing for Mac. The instructions on how to do the deployment that will be clearly put up on our website. We're actually building the admin guide with complete information about whatever we're discussing right now. So all you have to do is just navigate the customers to the page, and then we can help them with the deployment of these agents. So we'll actually be providing a script for existing customers. So what they will have to do is they will have to run that script first to remove the ServiceDesk Plus agent and then deploy the Desktop Central agent. That's how it's going to work. But for new customers, they don't have to worry. Just push out the agents and then start getting the information. Design changes. So this particular feature, now that is into the application, it brings in a few user interface changes as well. And there's certain changes that's happening in the backend as well. So let's see the UI changes first. Under the admin option, you've been used to seeing something called as the Windows agent configuration. That option is now changed to agent configuration. So under discovery, you'll see agent configuration. So here's what you can get to see. The complete UI is changed right now. So you have options to download the Windows agent, the Linux, or the Mac agents. And I can just update my server IP to what IP address it's reporting to. And the desktop central agent by itself, it's a very powerful agent. It can do a lot of things. And when it's integrated with ServiceDesk, you can create a ticket using the desktop central agent from the tray icon. You can do software catalog options through the DC agent tray icon. All that feature is available using the DC agent. But since, again, it's a new feature, and for phase one, we're just using the DC agent for the inventory part. None of the features that you've seen in the past will work with this agent right now. So you'll not be able to do creating a ticket using the DC agent. All that functionalities will definitely be coming up in other phases. But for phase one, it's just the asset inventory. The DC agent will be installed in the user's machine. It will collect the data and it will constantly keep sending the data to the application now. Once the agent is deployed, we have a couple of agent-related settings that we can control from this particular section. The next section that has been changed is the Windows domain scan. So previously, you used to see a different UI. Now, when you edit any domains, this is what you can expect to see now. The application will prompt you to download the agent and then start doing the scanning. Previously, we did give you an option to perform agentless scanning. So even though agents was not installed, you can start doing your scanning. But now the application moves to a purely agent-based approach. So the next change that we have is the network scan. I'm showing you this so that when the feature comes out, and when you are working in the customer's environment, you should know about these UI level changes so that it doesn't become a surprise to you when you start working on the product. So when I open up the network page now, so previously you're used to seeing the option to choose an agent or credentials, but now that option is removed and you can only scan machines through the agent right now. The next change that you have to keep in mind is script-based scanning. That is no longer supported in the application and the option is completely removed. So if I go to quick actions, you will not see an option to import or get the script. There's no standalone option available. So as I said, we are trying to move to a completely script-based approach right now. The script-based scanning is available only for certain operating systems such as HP UX, and the option to import script is now under the scan setting page. So if you head over there, you will have the option to download the scan script for HP UX, and you can manually import the XML file through this option over here. So these are some of the design level changes that has happened because of this new particular feature. Some of the major changes that has happened is, as we talked about, no more script-based scanning is available in the application. Support for SSH and Telnet is removed. The reason being, we now have agents for Mac and Linux-based operating systems. So we don't have to depend on these protocols anymore. We can make use of the agents for these particular machines. And now we have agents for 3 different operating systems. Previously, we just had for Windows. Now we have it for cross-platform. There is no more support for WMA-based scanning. So agentless scanning will not be supported. So if you come across any customer who is asking for agentless-based scanning, please inform them that the only option to scan asset is through the agents. Next, we need to understand how technicians are handled. The reason being, we have 2 different products that's doing this particular feature or giving us this particular feature. We have ServiceDesk Plus installed, We have Desktop Central that's actually scanning, collecting the data and giving it to ServiceDesk Plus. So in order for me to be able to make use of this particular functionality, in ServiceDesk Plus, when I create a technician, that same technician needs to be created inside Desktop Central as well in order for the function to be able to work. And this has become a seamless process. So what our developers have done is, when you create a technician inside ServiceDesk Plus and you give him a role, any role that has access to the asset module, it could be just a view role, or you can give him a remote control, whatever role you give him on the asset module, it automatically creates a technician inside Desktop Central. So in order for us to be able to understand how licensing is handled, we have the concept of open technician and we have something called as hidden technician. Open technician in simple terms is a licensed user. In Desktop Central, the licensing is based on the number of workstations and the number of users. So if I head over to Desktop Central, let me log in really quick. So when I go to the user section, any licensed user will be listed as a user under the Desktop Central console. But when I create a technician inside the ServiceDesk Plus application, and that technician gets created in Desktop Central, that user is called as a hidden technician, and it doesn't consume a license in Desktop Central. So two simple options, open technician and hidden technician. Open technician is your licensed users. Hidden technicians is your technicians which will not be shown in the UI and which is created by ServiceDesk Plus in order for this function to be able to work. I'm sure most of you have actually seen this particular feature. Let me show you something. This is a feature which already existed in the application. So I'm definitely sure you might have come across this particular option. When you create a new technician, you must have seen this particular option. If I put a check across this particular option, the technician that is getting created is no longer a hidden user. That user becomes a licensed user. If I create a technician account, for example, I give him a remote control and I create this technician account now, it automatically creates the record in Desktop Central, but that user is now a hidden technician. Hope we're clear on this part. Let's move on to the next section. How does asset deletion and how does technician deletion happen inside ServiceDesk Plus? So again, since we have two products, should the customer delete the asset in two different products? The answer is no. When I want to delete an asset inside ServiceDesk Plus, what happens is the asset gets deleted in ServiceDesk Plus and then a call is made to Desktop Central to delete the asset over there as well, and the asset gets automatically added to the exclusion list. The reason being, the reason I'm deleting an asset inside the application is I don't want that asset anymore in the application. But Desktop Central, since the agent is a real-time agent, whatever changes happen on the particular machine, it constantly keeps sending me the data. So if I delete the machine now, within an hour from now, the asset may come back into the application again. So to prevent this from happening, we are adding that particular asset to the scan exclusion list. So in this scenario, we need to understand two things over here. We have a concept called DC managed assets and we have a concept called SDP managed assets. This is again the same scenario that we talked about previously. A customer buying 500 licenses for Desktop Central. An existing customer, he already has Desktop Central. Assume the scenario that he already purchased Desktop Central. He purchased 500 licenses and he scanned 500 machines in the Desktop Central interface. Now these 500 machines are what we call DC managed assets. Now the customer is purchasing ServiceDesk Plus. Let's say he purchases 1000 assets for ServiceDesk Plus. And he's deploying the agents on all the 1,000 machines in his company. So now ServiceDesk Plus will have 1,000 machines. And out of these 1,000 machines, 500 machines are already available in the Desktop Central console. So these 500 machines are Desktop Central managed assets. The 1,000 assets that we see inside ServiceDesk are what we call as SDP managed assets. Hope this scenario is clear. The same thing happens for technician delete as well. When you delete a technician in ServiceDesk Plus, that technician account is gone from Desktop Central as well. So we've built this integration in such a way that it makes life more easy for you. Even though we're having two products in the backend doing this particular feature, all the changes that you're doing happens from the ServiceDesk Plus interface. Desktop Central is just silently sitting in the backend doing all the job. How does Desktop Central uniquely identify a workstation? The previous design of ServiceDesk was, it was checking the uniqueness in a certain hierarchy. So first it will check the ServiceDesk Plus agent ID. Next, it will check the service tag, then the workstation name, and then finally it will check the MAC address. If any of these condition matches, it will update the existing machine. If none of these condition matches, it creates a new asset record. That's how the design is. The new design is, there's no agent ID. That's getting replaced by something called as the DC resource ID. And then we check the service tag, the workstation name, and then that's how we uniquely identify machines. We've made it more simple. That's all I should say. The next thing that we'll have to talk about is distributed asset scanning. There's a small change in the distributed asset scanning if you look at that picture. So, like I told, in order for the functionality, in order for this DC agents to be deployed, Desktop Central has to be installed as a standalone installation. So, this is my central ServiceDesk Plus application or my Asset Explorer application. And I've installed Desktop Central on the same server. Everything is good. Now, let's say you have a concept where there's different work branches or different geographical locations where you want to deploy the probes and scan the machines in that particular location. So in that situation, when you deploy the ServiceDesk Plus probe, each probe will need to have its own Desktop Central installation. So if I have 3 different locations, I install probe in location 1. Once I install, as soon as I install, you will see that same prompt that I showed in the first UI. So once the probe is installed, and when you try to scan, you will get something of this particular sort, and then you'll have to download, install the Desktop Central application. Same thing for the other 3 locations. Once this is configured, you can have the remote probe report directly to the central server if there is connectivity, or the same process. You can export that information in the remote as a zip, and then you can manually import it in the central location. But there is something that we have to understand over here. This is a tip that's actually given to us by our developers. There are different scenarios in which we suggest customers to go with this particular model, distributed asset scanning. The first scenario is the load of the application. Let's say there's too many assets, there's 10,000 or 20,000 assets. To minimize the bandwidth or minimize the strain or the load on the network, we ask customers to set it up using the distributed asset scanning concept. The second option is there's no connectivity between 2 different networks. So let's say you have an office in New York and there's another office in Chicago. There's no connectivity between these 2 particular locations. So in that case, I will install the central application, the central ServiceDesk Plus in New York, and I will install a probe in Chicago to collect the data and then send the data to New York. This is how the concept works. But that issue with load will no longer be there, since we are going to use the new Desktop Central agent, which is more powerful and there's better load management. So if there is connectivity, if the machines are able to talk to the central applications, we recommend you to deploy the desktop central agent directly on the machines and then have them report to the central application instead of using the distributed asset scanning. The reason I'm saying this is the desktop central agent, for those of you who have already seen the desktop central application, we have two agents now, agents on LAN and agents on WAN, wide area network. So if I go to the agent configuration, you have two different options where you can have the agent report to the server IP address directly, or you can have desktop central on the public network, and then the agent can report to the public address as well. This is especially helpful for the roaming users who are never connected to the office network, who are always on the go, who might be connecting to the VPN, who might not. So you don't have to worry about those scenarios. All you have to do is you can deploy the agents to these particular machines, and these machines will start reporting to the public IP address. No matter where they are in the world, the DC agent is powerful enough to send the data to the desktop central application, and thereby that information comes to ServiceDesk Plus. So if a customer is asking for, let's say, 20,000 asset licenses, the question should be, are all these machines reachable? Can all these machines reach the ServiceDesk Plus server or the desktop central server? If yes, just deploy the DC agent on all the machines. Sorry. In situation 2, where there's two different locations and the second location is a completed isolated network, there's no connectivity, then there's no option. Then we'll have to go with the distributed asset scanning model. Hope this section is clear. Another question that I failed to address previously was the desktop central. Once it's installed, by default, it goes to the 30-day trial period, and you'll have complete features. The whole desktop central suite will be available. After the 30-day desktop central trial completes, the application automatically moves to a free edition. So in the free edition of desktop central, there will be no limit or no capping on the number of assets that can be added into the application. There is no limit on the number of hidden technicians. So previously we talked about this concept called open technician and hidden technician. Technicians who are created from ServiceDesk Plus in desktop central. So there's no cap on the number of technicians that is created in the desktop central application. So it moves to a free edition. So the benefits of the new agent. So if an existing customer asks you this is something that you can definitely tell them about. So the upgrade activity of the ServiceDesk Plus agent. We constantly keep giving new upgrades for the agents. So the current agent version is 34, I believe. And let's say 35 comes out, you'll have to download the agent, and then you'll have to do the deployment all over again through a GPO or whatever process that you might follow. That is no longer needed. The desktop central agent is an automatic upgrade agent. So you just have to deploy it once, and the agent automatically upgrades itself whenever there's a new version out there. Agent configuration changes. Let's say the server name is changing, or there is some other configuration change that's happening on the agent. So previous design was, I need to create a script, and then I have to deploy that script through a group policy to all the machines in my company, thereby updating the agent. That is no more needed. The agent, again, it's powerful enough to automatically know about these changes, and then it sends that data automatically to the desktop central agent, and the configuration gets updated. The next advantage that you get is something that we talked about previously again, is powerful remote control. The remote control in ServiceDesk, if you compare that with desktop central, again, you get lots of features such as the chat, file transfer, administrative options, and things like that, which is not available in ServiceDesk Plus. So this is a feature that will definitely help customers to do better IT service management. And something we talked about again, scanning both WAN and LAN users. So these are some of the benefits that you get with the new agent. So this is something that's definitely a feature that a lot of our customers are looking for, because most of our customers are requesting for a client server architecture. The current ServiceDesk Plus agent, it operates on a server client architecture. So all the communication is happening from the ServiceDesk Plus server to the client machine. And in the current situation right now, everybody is working from home. So when the server tries to reach the machine, it just fails because they're not on the network. But that all changes because Desktop Central agent is more of a client server architecture. So that's how the agent works now. How about the migration, backup, restore? Since there's two separate products, all these activities will have to be done separately. I'll have to do a separate, if we're doing a server migration, I'll have to back up ServiceDesk, install ServiceDesk on the new server, and restore it. And then I'll have to do the same process over for Desktop Central again. As of now, this is the design of the application. Since we have two products, the process will have to be done twice. But moving forward or in future, we're definitely working on a way to integrate the whole system where that you can just take one backup and then restore it. Everything will be done. So as of now, it's a process that has to be done twice. Port requirements. Desktop Central offers a lot of features like we talked about. So in order for the scan to happen, you might have to open up these particular ports on the server. And for remote control, if you're going to make use of the advanced remote control features, you might have to open up all these particular ports. All this information is going to be available in the admin guide. Like I said, you just have to navigate customers to the admin guide and then ensure all these ports are opened up so that they can start making use of these particular functions. So there's a special case scenario in this particular feature. If you encounter any customer that makes use of any of these products, Patch Manager Plus, On-Premise or Cloud, Remote Access Plus, Device Control Plus, Vulnerability Manager Plus, Patch Manager Plus, Desktop Central Cloud, they might have challenges in making use of this feature. The reason being, each of these products have their own agents to be able to do their functions. Each of these products, like I said, since they have their own agent, I will not be able to install the Desktop Central agent on the same machine. So if there's an agent for Patch Manager installed on a particular machine, it will not let me integrate. It will not allow me to install the Desktop Central agent on the same machine. So that's a scenario that we need to handle case by case. So what we're doing is to handle this, we're actually giving a prompt to the customer. When they do an upgrade, we're giving a message saying that if you're using any of these products, don't do the upgrade. So customer can cancel the upgrade and then they can just wait so that we can do a fix. The fix that we're working on is we are trying to build a common agent for all these products. One single agent that will do all these activities. Once that is done, the customers can do the upgrade. But let's say the customer wants to make use of some other feature and they insist on doing the upgrade. In that situation, they need to reach out to the support team so that we can understand that case and then we can discuss with our developers and then see what best we can do for such customers. So if you come across customers with these particular products, you can educate them to hold for a while. If they still want to do the upgrade, please have them reach out to the support team and then we can guide them on what best can be done. And so far, what we've been talking about is for the ServiceDesk Plus on-premise product. And in case you're wondering if this feature is available for the cloud, the feature is going to be available for the cloud, but it's still a work in progress. So I cannot commit on when that feature for the cloud will be released, but rest assured that it's being worked upon. So these are the different things that I wanted to cover in this topic. So let's do like a quick recap just to see if we have everything covered. So the scenarios are a new customer who's buying ServiceDesk Plus, an existing customer of ServiceDesk who is doing an upgrade to make use of this particular functionality, an existing customer who already has Desktop Central integrated. That's all you will have to understand. For the new customer, they get asset inventory and warranty fetching. If they want remote control, push them to system tools. For customers, existing customers, they get warranty information, the asset inventory, and they also get remote control through the Desktop Central agent. So those are the different things that we wanted to talk about. I hope I touched upon most of the points that we have over here. And in case you have any questions on this, or you feel that something needs to be changed or something needs to be added, please let us know. Then we can see what best we can do for you. So with that, we can end this presentation. And I thank you all for taking your time to sit and listen to this presentation. Please give us your feedback and let us know what you think about this feature. Thank you. Be safe. Take care.